gives the order of service, but I mean, just service. Right?
I would have stuff printed out in front of me, but I'd still skip it.
That's sort of like sometimes. So I feel like
Looking at the treats, Eric. It's Norwegian. Get that. Oh, I don't know. I did that in the Danish form.
I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, but I know what you're saying. And I know what
So your ancestry is Norwegian. I created this piece, and then I played. I still have that one jacket with the Norwegian engineers or something like that.
that's a sweatshirt for a tech conference.
Yeah, and because last week I was here and I could see the back of it.
you're welcome. I'm just being
Sneak by us? Yeah. This one is really easy to use.
I like that one too.
Let's try the third one. No, I just didn't have my finger on it. I'm playing around, so you know.
Experiment.
Just happy that it works for you. We were trying to teach Kelly's grandparents how to use one of those that her parents got over Thanksgiving. Yeah, and they just could not figure it out.
Some of them that we have.
Kelly, I love the plan. That gave me an idea. A lot of churches do flowers. I think it would be great anybody who wants to bring a plant and put up here and give it away or whatever, or even if they don't want to give it away. Having a live plant is kind of a cool thing. I mean, maybe not in January when it may freeze the winter. I just think that's really nice.
She said, don't put it up there. I said, why not?
Yeah, I love it. I actually really love it.
My daughter.
It's kind of a crappy little container, but
I was pretty active with them.
it's the green that's important.
That's right.
I have so many.
I mean, well, maybe you don't know. She
I found
they grabbed her
found
at
one
the
that's
state
laying in the
fair,
garage, so I'm like, okay, that's
you know, and then so she made a
So I'm
donation.
expecting
So I
they'll
got her
transplant
dress, and they
it
sent her
into
stuff,
something
and I
nice when
think
she
she
gets
just
home.
dropped it all over.
Well, in that kind of container, it's easier to like gift it to somebody.
No Wesley today?
Expensive.
Oh, the one where they do all the freezing things?
Actually, no.
I guess I say that because maybe I'll bring one next week. Because you've been there and you don't have one.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Because no, it's not what I thought it was going to be at all. It's, I think, I remember big boxes of their game cards.
I don't know if this,
And they set up in these
with,
like
other three,
It's a modern day
it's that's all they do. And they don't even like talk to each other. They don't even like there's a lot of autism.
Oh, there was.
Just not like a lot of
Like
Scouts
Scouts
because
because
of
of
religious
religious
things.
things.
Our community,
Right.
in fact, our community is like,
It's changed too.
they have to because it's a dying. Right. I mean, if they start to get like religious or, I mean,
Yeah, well, that's kind of
Most
what
of
we
the photos that I have
Cub Scouts and
of
then
one particular color, that was from a plant that
they have a
was
Catholic
given to me on my mother's desk.
scout troop, and
And
then
you
you
just keep, you can just keep putting it in water. And I don't know how many pieces of this. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
babies,
really
yeah.
kind of thing, So I love that. Boss is good.
It's not poinsettias, it's
It
poinsettias.
is technically a requirement. That's here. Boards and.
Oops, I'm the one being loud. Oh, it's 10:30. Go for it, Alice. Oh, now we can start. Josh is here.
No comment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Mediterranean.
No way. That will be a lesson. Didn't get them all. gathering song, voice still and small, number 391. I will play through it while you're getting your.
Good morning. Welcome to all who've joined us, both in person and those who've joined us online. We're glad that you're all here with us. My name is Brian, for those who may not know me, and my pronouns are he, him. Today, we have the distinct honor and pleasure of a presentation that is going to be given by our very own Suki. And because today, and hopefully I'll pronounce this correctly, is Bodhi Day. Did I say that right? And so we're going to learn about the concept of peace through the Buddhist tradition. So I'm very excited about that. I have a few more announcements. Well, just to also give you, this is just more of a fun thing. Nobody's required. But next Sunday is, as we reinvent Advent for us, is Gaudete Sunday in most churches, which is, Gaudete is just the Latin word for joy. And so we're going to light the pink candle, and it just happens to be one of my favorite, if not my biggest favorite Sunday of the church year. So you're invited to wear pink, because I will be wearing pink for the first time in a long time, but certainly not required to do so. That's the liturgical color for next Sunday. And I'll be speaking about joy. And maybe there's going to be some music about joy too. We don't want to forget to remind you that we have our winter solstice service. A lot of planning and fun times have been spent planning it, and we're still in the process. It's December the 20th at 6:30 p.m. That's Friday, December the 20th at 6:30. We're really excited, and the theme is Becoming a Brilliant Star.
Light.
Brilliant light. I just want to be a star. Becoming a brilliant light. Almost got it. All right. So please join us. That's going to be awesome. And December the 22nd, then the next Sunday is Love Sunday. It's our holiday Sing Sunday. So we're excited about that. I'm especially excited because I get to say just a few words and then sing the rest of the time. So any more announcements anyone would like to share?
Guess what? Treats, okay? There's still a few openings in December, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of interesting things you guys can bring. But no pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure to be
No guilt.
be leftover turkey.
Turkey cupcake.
They brought chicken one time.
Wednesday, my chorus mixed company is having a friends and family night. Anybody's invited. It's free admission. It's at United Methodist Church of Peace in Richfield at 7.
That's very fun.
And the Cuba Gallery winter party
thing is today, 1 to 4. 6100 Auto Club Road. It's really Normandale.
Other announcements? Well, I'll make a final announcement. This is more of an invitation. So many years ago, after I had spent the first 4 or 5 years as a congregational pastor, I realized it was very difficult to have a holiday gathering during the month of December because I was exhausted, as well as many of the church members who were involved in choirs and activities. So I had a tradition for a long time of the Sunday after Christmas of having a holiday gathering, because then we could just all kind of relax and get ready for the new year. Well, this year I have tried to reinstate that, mostly by accident, because I've been sick for so long that I forgot to put something on the calendar. So I would like to extend an invitation to anyone who might be in town and or available to come to our home and farm on the 29th. That's going to be the day that we light the white candle in church, which is the candle of light, the return of the light. And so at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we're just going to have light refreshments. And we were recently gifted a new piano, a real piano. I don't know for sure if we're going to be able to get it tuned. It's not really out of tune, but it'll be a joyful noise that we can make around it. So all are welcome. We'll just, come together. And I know that it's a difficult time for people because you may be traveling. But if you're not and you're available, please join us. Any last announcements?
Real quick, choir will meet after church next Sunday to get ready for the following.
The service length.
Oh, thank you. I was going to just, wing it. So we're going to begin to announce that we really try to keep our service at an hour. But due to growth and due to having amazing musicians, as well as a lot of other talent in the congregation, we understand that sometimes the service might go over, and in order to sort of keep the integrity and the intent of the feel and the flow of service, as well as the hard work that the musicians have put into preparing, we may sometimes go over time. And that includes even whenever we have extended joys and concerns time. So we will try to keep it at an hour, but if we don't and you have to leave, feel free to do so. It's not that, we're trying to keep you here and keep you hostage. It's just that we realize that in a growing, vibrant, spiritual community with so much talent and so many people giving contributions, that we may slightly go over time once in a while. And so we invite you to stay and keep with us, but if you do need to leave, I don't anticipate that's going to happen today, but anticipation is a large word. I can barely say it. So, thank you for reminding me.
May I add to that? I mean, guest speakers obviously sometimes go over, and we can't really control that unless we are timing them, but I will make choices at the end too if we just want to sing one verse of something, but
Absolutely.
there you go.
So that we're going to develop this sort of procedure, like if we the leaders that are doing what's going on up here will have a procedure that, okay, if it goes over this amount of time, then we'll defer to Kathleen to
Like
make
10
some,
minutes, maybe,
whatever.
or 12 minutes.
So thank you.
Yeah.
All right, with that, I invite everyone to take a deep, slow, intentional breath. Calm yourselves as much as you can and separate yourselves from the chaos of the world as much as possible. Come together in this time in fellowship and in meditation, and let us enjoy this beautiful musical prelude. I invite you all to remain seated and join us in our opening words and the lighting of the chalice. Today we pause to celebrate the virtue of peace as it coincides with Bodhi Day, a day of importance in the Buddhist tradition.
May we
May we open our minds and our hearts to embrace peace within and all around us, everywhere.
A generous heart, kind speech, and a life of service and compassion are the things that renew humanity and that enable peace.
We work to embody the type of lives that establish and procure peaceful enlightenment throughout the earth.
The Buddha informs us that no one can save us but ourselves, that no one may, and that no one will.
Indeed, for peace to truly flourish, we must walk our own path, even as we join paths with the like-spirited.
Therefore, in a spirit of peace, we light this chalice together and say,
May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal with love, to help with compassion, to bless with joy, to serve you, Spirit of freedom, in the fullness of community.
Our first hymn is hymn number 160, and I invite those who are able to please rise and join us in hymn 160.
This is a new one, so I will play through it. Wait for everybody to get there.
We believe peace is possible, and we know that peace starts with each of us.
Peace is possible. Peace starts when we start making peace with ourselves and with others.
We give thanks for the peaceful role models of the past and for the leaders of the future.
Today we light the candle for peace, for the future, and for the future of our children and this planet.
At this time during the service, we take a pause to recognize beloved community. The following is an excerpt adapted for our congregation from the UUA's statement on criminal justice and prison reform. As Unitarian Universalists, we are committed to affirming the inherent goodness and worth of each human being. As Americans, we take pride in our constitutional promise of liberty, equality, and justice for all. including those who have violated the law. Yet the incarceration rate in the United States is 5 to 10-fold that of other nations, even those without such a constitutional promise. Our correction system is increasingly rife with inequitable sentencing, longer terms of detention, racial and ethnic profiling, and deplorable jail and prison conditions and treatment. The magnitude of injustice and inequity in this system stands in stark contrast to the values that our nation and our faith proclaim. We are compelled to witness this dissonance between what America proclaims for criminal justice and what America practices. We offer an alternative moral vision of a justice system that operates in harmonious accord with our values as a community of faith. This vision includes the presumption of innocence, fair judicial proceedings, the merciful restoration of those who have broken the law, the renunciation of torture and other abusive practices, and a fundamental commitment to the dignity and humane treatment of everyone in our society, including prisoners. At Dakota Unitarian Universalist Church, we covenant with each other and the world that we will use our citizenship power to work for justice and wholeness of all persons and to embrace rehabilitation over desolation. And now it's time for our joys and concerns. Feel free to come forward if you're moved to do so, light a candle, and share. And at the end, I'll light a final candle for all of those unshared. And if anyone online has a joy or concern, please chime in, and Alice will light a candle.
Well, it was an interesting weekend because my refrigerator went out Friday evening. And so the repair department of Warner Stellians is not available till Monday. So I borrowed coolers and, got bags of ice, and it's like I'm camping in my kitchen. But anyway, it gave me the opportunity to use Buddhism and to not go into the drama and, oh my gosh, and all that kind of stuff, and just use my favorite Buddhist saying of before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water.
So I miss you guys when I don't come. And I know I've been not here as regularly as I'd like, but I've got certain priorities. And the first joy is that I have finished my first draft of Greenie's book. First draft only needs work, but it's 100 pages, 55,000 words, so it's a chapter book. And I met with David Unowski on Thursday, who's a bookman, 82-year-old, knows everybody in the business. He's very excited and is going to talk to the owners of Lerner Publishing personally to recommend that they publish my book. So that's, I still have tons of work, but that's a big step. And I also managed to make calendars this year because I thought I've got to share some of my African pictures. So I have those today if anybody's interested, wall calendars and desk calendars. So making progress.
And we miss you when you're not here too.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Just really quick, I'm going to light a candle of joy for the awesome concert Kathy choir did last night. And also, we bought this little plant. If anybody wants to bring it home, it's called Flaming Katie. It's succulent, I guess, and eventually it might produce these clumps of bright pink flowers. So, the baby of our granddaddy plant that we have.
I'm going to light a candle in gratitude for music. We actually make people cry, which is the goal, right?
Good job, good job.
And you can relax a little bit, right?
Yeah. Friday is my sister's 74th birthday. And I would like to say thank you to the elves that came and set up this place before any rest of us got here. Kathy and Jim, who's not here.
Yeah, it was like a shock. Like, what happened here?
So thanks, Dan.
No problem.
I know.
Well, first I'm going to light a candle of something that I mentioned last week, but it also is a lighting this candle in with a sense of gratitude. I like to do this once in a while to remind you, the people who are my faith community, that you are just awesome. And again, thank you, Kathy, for making this beautiful two-sided stole. I'm wearing the other side today. When I say a little bit later, not too long from now, that we are held in the loving embrace of this community, we really mean it. You really mean it, and I feel it. And now I will light a final candle for all those joys and concerns that remain unspoken. May we know that whatever befalls us in life, we are held in the loving embrace of this community. And now we say, for all these joys and concerns, both spoken and unspoken,
We hold you in our hearts.
Now, it is my distinct honor and pleasure to step away and turn this service over to Suki.
Actually, one of the teaching from Tibetan Buddhism is expect no applause. So, when I sitting there, I was expecting no applause, but I had applause. Thank you so much. And talking about peace topic, I will start with my favorite movie, Kung Fu Panda. How many of you have watched that movie? Oh, some of them. Okay. So it's already been 4 series, and it's all on Netflix. And the 4th one in the trailer, so it's not really spoil your chance to see it. In the trailer, the panda is a dragon warrior, and he's trying to meditate. And he says, inner peace. Inner peace. Dinner, please. Dinner with peas, soybeans. That's how it goes. When we think of meditation or we think about peace, it feels like very difficult to grasp. But also enlightenment. We might recognize more clearly what's not enlightenment. So one woman, she had a near-death experience. So after that, she could see things or feel things, so people said, oh, you might got enlightenment. So she asked the question in a Buddhist panel discussion. Then some of the teachers just danced around the question. Then one Tibetan Lama asked her just 3 simple questions. First, do you still feel craving and longing? Say yes. Second, do you sometimes feel like lazy? Yes. Third question, do you sometimes feel anger? Oh yeah. Then you are not getting enlightened. So, yeah. So in Buddhist way, when we think about how we can bring more joy, or bring more peace, or understand enlightenment, we will not ask how I add more happiness, or add, or seek peaceful. We will ask how I can suffer less. So one of my meditation teacher always say, my motivation or the outcome of my years of meditation is, at a certain point I would say, okay, I can choose to suffer less. So that relates to the first noble truth of Buddhism teaching, is recognize suffering. In the Sanskrit, it's called dukkha. In English, we normally transfer into, the translation is suffering, but I see it's a little too upgraded. That dukkha is more like a dissatisfaction, some uneasiness. So in the Sanskrit original meaning, dukkha actually is the axle. When you put the wheel, the carriage, horse carriage or cow carriage, the axle. So at that time, the craftsmanship were not that good. So when this one is not that smooth enough, when you go somewhere, you have a journey, it's very bumpy. So that is the original meaning of this thing called dukkha. That's the discomfort, unease. So it's a metaphor of our life as a journey. Is a bumpy journey. It's a pain in the ass journey, right? so if we recognize that, we normalize that discomfort, because a lot of times we more focus on how I can take more happiness, take more peaceful in, but we neglect how to let this suffer work towards the suffering. Sometimes we share away from the suffering, right? So also that's why in Buddhism there are two bigger schools. One called big vehicle school, another called small vehicle school. Small vehicle school, they focus more on an individual, like me, how I can work on my suffering, I can get enlightenment. So it's a small vehicle, like a self, like I have a good like a bicycle, it work perfectly fine. The big vehicle could be build a train, so I can have more people. I want the whole world, whole human being to get the suffering out of their daily life. Then let's think about why Buddha would choose suffering as a gateway to get enlightenment. So my understanding is through suffering or dissatisfaction, it's easier for us to get connected. Why? We can say, oh, in happiness, we can also relate. But my background is in China, so when I said to Bruce, I said, when I was young, we dress up to stand in the line to have KFC. That's my happiness, right? So some people might born like have like a prince or whatever, right? Some people just like, not me, like other people in even Africa, they live in $1 per day. They feel happiness. So that it's very difficult to compare. But if I say, I had fever yesterday, I had headache yesterday. Even you are rich like that or poor like that, you understand how terrible that feeling it is. So that's why Buddha chose that suffering as a working point. So because you know that's terrible, I don't want to get sick again, I don't want to have fever again. That's why I understand. If some people get that feeling, I want to take away that. So that's the compassion, how it comes from, because we share the fundamental suffering part. An interesting part for the word of bitterness or suffering, share the same root of grass, flower, plants. So a lot of plants, if you taste it, it has bitterness there, right? But in Chinese, sweet, it more refers to the tongue. So sweetness will make you open your mouth, you want to taste more. The bitterness make us open our heart more. Because bitterness in Chinese is a symbol of grass, and there's an opening, a heart there, an opening. So that's the starting point when we want to work with how we can get on the path of the enlightenment. Then why we will suffer, why the suffering stays. That comes another arrow two story. So one person get an arrow, it must be very painful. Then Buddha said, imagine that person gets another arrow, hit that spot will be more painful? The disciple said, yes. So the first arrow is the suffering that we can avoid, sickness, right? Unfortunately, some of the tragedies, or even bad weather sometimes. That's the first arrow. That's something we cannot really avoid. But normally, when we feel the real suffering, is the second arrow. Our anger around it, our deeper assessment of it, or our attachment to what happened. So Buddha's teaching is like, when we really feel the heaviness, are you really suffering the first arrow or suffering the second arrow? Normally it's your own story around that first arrow stays deeper, cut you deeper, make it even difficult to get out of your own story. Yeah. So one example will be we don't see the impermanence of certain things. I lost job, or I got sick, right? These are all the things will change, but at that moment, we see it as something we really want to grasp, or really we put another layers of meaning on that. Then that will relate to another concept of, because of the impermanence, relate to another concept of emptiness. Sometimes when we talk about Buddhist emptiness, we say, I see it. Why it is emptiness? So the misunderstanding part is, the emptiness means there's no everlasting intrinsic nature of something ever exists there. It's the changing part. It's a changing part that we don't see. We see it as something permanent that we want to grasp. Our body, right? Our mental statement, or our relationship, or our certain achievement in our work. We hope they are the same. And also we have a concrete wish or want as certain thing to be a concrete surface. That's the reason you become a target. So once you have a very fluidity, like water, a knife cannot really hurt water. But if you have a really frigid longing, I had to get that, then I will be happy. Then you become a target, arrow can really hurt you, and really hurt deep. So I went to a Buddhist retreat, actually just in Egan. We will have silent meal during our retreat. So normally we will have our food, then wait until everyone will be seated. That's our ritual, right? Then one day the teacher said, because we're gonna have Vietnamese pho, it's really hot, and it's best to taste it when it's really hot. So whenever you have that meal, just sit and start to eat. We don't have to wait for everyone else. So I really loved the attitude of, even in a Buddhist practice setting, the teacher will adjust what we need to do in order to taste the best of the flavor of that bowl of noodle. Instead of, no, we always wait for everyone to sit down, then we have that noodle. So that's the fluidity, that's the flexibility, and also meet where they are. Meet this bowl of noodle. When it's the best time, we can taste it, right? So I really feel that kind of experience really opened my eyes to how to work with the situation and really go with that flow. I talk about the first noble truth is the suffering. Then second, I just hint about it, is attachment to it. We see the impermanent things has a permanent value, we want to grasp it. And also actually in Sanskrit, subject, actually they say, I'm a grasper. The object is the grasper. So they see this me and the other thing around me. If I divide them, I'm doing this kind of grasp. Then third noble truth is, if we see the things as they are, that relates to another concept is like non-self or no self. What do I mean? Let's see a flower. So the flower is made of a lot of non-flower element. You see the sunshine, you see the soil, you see the people gardening it. If the flower is in your home, you see people harvest it, put in the store. You know, without all these elements, there's nothing called flower. So as a person, I have parents raise me up, right? And my parents have their parents. And I have all the blessing that when I come here, no other car hit me. And I'm blessed by people in this room. Otherwise, why I'm talking, right? So it's all the interbeing that really is the essence of how we see us, not as the wave, but as the ocean. So that's a classical question they will ask you. Do you identify with waves or ocean? When you identify with waves, you have the high point, have the low point. It's very choppy, right? But you look deeper. If you're ocean, there's a certain calmness, there's a certain peacefulness, there's certain like quite stable quality there. So instead of saying I'm a drop of water in the ocean, you are ocean in the one drop. So in that way, you see the connectedness, you see the oneness. But oneness is not as sameness. Just like in Chinese, peace, we have two words, is harmony. First is harmony. Harmony is so beautiful because we don't see the same notes. It's beautiful because we see different notes, but we put them together, it sounds beautiful. And the second word for peace is flat, or in Buddhist word is impartiality. So you see things that's the same. Like you are in me, I'm in you. We share the suffering. We share a lot of the root cause how things make us suffer, and the interchange of light and darkness. That's why when we work with suffering, we know there will be non-suffering waiting for us, just like light and darkness. They could see as the opposite, but in Buddha's mind, it's more like the same material that we can transform into something else. So God might say, let the light be. Then the light said, oh Lord, I have to wait for my darkness brother to join me so we can manifest together. Then the Lord said, oh, darkness is already here. Then light said, in this case, I am already there too. So that's how, in Buddhist way, we don't really see the conflict of certain good and bad. In the contrary, we see suffering, we even see enemy as our best teacher, because they force you or give you the great opportunity to see the same root of a hurtful people. Because happiness or sadness has, to me, it's like an overflow or overspill quality. A person say hurtful words because in his heart, he's so bitter, so painful, that energy overspills. And if I'm happy, my happiness is something overflow, like a bowl. So when we look towards or work towards a troublemaker, something like that, we will recognize the troublemaker element seated in us. So instead of wish them to change, we look back to us, say how I can nurture my suffering part of my thinking, of my emotion, of my speech, so I don't hurt other people like I experienced before. So in that case, especially in Tibetan Buddhism teaching, they really want you to work towards the suffering instead of shying away. That's why one of the meditation in Tibetan Buddhism, called Tongren, it's inhale the darkness, inhale the suffering, then exhale the healing energy. Pretty opposite than the normal way when we do meditation. We want to inhale peace, right? Inhale, I want to get the good things for me. I want to inhale peace, then exhale the worry, suffering or discomfort. But in that altruism lens, the training is inhale the darkness, inhale the suffering. Especially, it's very good to work to nurture yourself. So when we do that kind of meditation, always start with your little suffering, because if you normalize suffering is the normal part and it's all over, you don't see suffering as something you really don't want to talk about. You really want to work with it. Like sometimes you get misunderstood, so you can breathe in the suffering of your little self, but suffering a little suffering self, then exhale the healing energy, then you can imagine this suffering self start to smile. So I found this is a very interesting practice, and when I recommend to some of my friends, they're shocking, like they first never heard of that, and when they tried it, they feel a shift, because right in that moment, they feel they have certain power to heal themselves, not waiting for other external environment to change. Then they can change. So today we don't have time, but maybe sometime when we have the women's gathering, we can try that. Yeah. So let me see what I was gonna say. Okay. Also, in Buddhism teaching, they want us to separate self and person. So person, especially in English word, the root is from persona. And persona actually is the mask. When you in ancient theater, the mask you put, it's called persona. So in Buddhist view, they acknowledge you have certain role. You will do a certain role, fulfill certain, taking some actions, fulfill some obligation, but they don't see you have a non-changing self quality. So that's a little different than just soul. So actually in Buddhism, they don't believe there's a soul there. It's quite difficult to grasp. But in that sense, when you think of, you can carry on certain roles, because a lot of times we misunderstand the role you're carrying instead of the me, or the unchanging part. So when we think of I can carry a role, Buddhist has like 4 area you can work on. So one is, normally we translate into love, kindness. But if you think of as a role, it's a role of friend. So sometimes it can also translate into friendship. So you see everything, person, plant, environment, you treat them as a friend. So you perform a role of friend. And second is care. So you naturally care for them. You want them to relieve the suffering. So you perform a role of caregiving. Then the third is called sympathetic joy. So it's like a cheerleader. You are in a role of a cheerleader. Very, yeah. We actually in Chinese, even in English, there's no certain word describe you happy for other people's happy. But in Chinese, we have a word, you're happy when people suffer, when some people messed up. And also in German, there's a certain word.
Schadenfreude.
Yeah, exactly. So we have that word. We share that more often. Like we feel so joy, and because people messed up. So that sympathetic joy is that if you identify with the ocean, yeah. Then we both in the ocean. I'm happy for you if you are up. Oh, you see more things. I'm happy for you as the ocean. Not if only you can be that tall in that position. The fourth is sometimes we translate into equanimity. You see things at the same. The same. I mean, not exactly the same, but the fundamental root for motivation, because something do something, but the root cause is the pain. Sometimes lot of situation is that if we can see that, we can release some of the you and I, only I, the separateness, that I am like a superior or I'm inferior, that kind of competition, comparison. Sometimes the comparison really gives us the anxiety. Right? It's me. My whole way of arranging my world is put me in the center, then see how other people can, serve me or whatever. So we will sometimes become a society, especially in materialism, is we use people, but we love things. Because we see that these are the things I can use and help me feel better. I remember in one of the retreat Buddhism after the meditation, I was thinking, oh, that bell sounds really good. I really wish I can have that bell. So in the end, maybe a lot of people ask the same question. So at the whiteboard, they list where you can buy the bell instead of have more other questions. So I think we normally I will choose the easy way, because if I want the experience, I must have that bell. Without that bell, I won't have that experience. It's like a toddler mindset. Toddler, if you don't have anything, if they want something, they don't get it, they whine, right? They on the floor. But as an adult, we are trained not to whine like that. But how many times, if we don't get anything we want, how many screaming in your head? Right? How many? So we are still an adult body, but we still have the toddler mindset. Because we want that. We want a certain concrete object. Yeah. So Buddhism always remind us that, think about it. The attachment, the must do or should, would, that kind of word. Be careful. That's the second arrow. And also in Buddhism, the minimalism is also a virtue. They really see, if I own an object, a thing, that thing actually owns part of your mind. So when you own a lot of things, these things, you all will have a mind on that stuff, because it's a human nature, very easy. So in the end, who's the owner of what, and who consume who? When you see a consumer, something consumed, actually it consumes some part of your mind. So it actually still piece of your mind gradually by a lot of the stuff. So for me right now, the way I practice Buddhism, especially at the end of the year, like the holiday season, there's a lot of like anxiety or should have, looking back the whole year. But right now I will try to just say, I did this, I did that. And Bruce and I have a ritual that by the end of the year, last year we did that. We list 108 things we are grateful. 108 is a very interesting number, because in Sanskrit they have 54 syllables and a female version or male version, because yeah, that's a number. So the gratitude, you just see things are, and try not to grasp too much, but give, like contribute to more. Yeah, I hope this little talk will give you little different view on how Buddhism see how to relieve, how to attain peace by working on the dissatisfaction, and show more to be a role of friend, a role of caregiver, a role of cheerleader, and also remember reframing some of the words in Tibetan and in Chinese. There is, or I have, we use the same word. So there's no ownership kind of concept in these languages. So, and also I have, or there is, the pronunciation is the same as friend. So in that case, like I have depression, for example. Actually, it means I befriend depression. Sounds like, and it's more like there is a depression. Instead of in a Western language, I have feels like I own something. So in Tibetan Chinese language, we more to say there is something, and there is that the sound is the friend. So I will encourage you to see that relationship, like a more like a second person relationship. Define our happiness or our peaceful is how we befriend with anything. Like I want peace for everyone, not except ABCD. Because if you are doing that, you're not practicing open your heart, you're practicing accumulate your accept list. We don't want that, right? Okay, so I will end this, like, remember the question I ask when you, in Buddhism, we always ask, do you identify with wave or ocean? And this time I will say, I identify with water. Okay, thank you.
Of course, this time during the service, we have allotted a few minutes for reflection, and I'm going to invite us to have some initial comments and or questions, and then we'll probably continue that conversation afterwards over treats. Oh, wow. I never knew that treats would be a liturgical word.
So many interesting things to think about. That was like Buddhism 101. Anytime you want to do 102.
108.
Okay.
Suki,
Mhm.
does the, is the first person exist in
Yeah,
the concept?
yes, person exists, but the
First
self,
person as opposed to
as opposed like a
second person.
second person exists like as a person my experience is defined by my interaction with other person. But Buddhist doesn't acknowledge there's a soul, there's a self as a conductor. Like or even like a neuroscience right now, they want to see who is the decision maker. It's cells, it's the neurons they fire up. They cannot find a certain thing. That's Buddhist doesn't acknowledge that. But they acknowledge person. So people say, if I don't have a self, who's doing all the things? It's a person. Person in a real friend, you carry out certain job roles. So Buddha doesn't deny that is something you need to carry out immersively, mindfully. Yeah, enjoy the full moment.
Well, it just has such huge implications in interactions and politics, you know, about how you, accountability and,
Well, I said, I wish that we had more time to have more discussion, but please feel free to continue the discussion after we finish the service today. So I, at this point, would invite you to rise as you are able and join us in our closing hymn, which is number 162. 162. So I hear that we're gonna be singing together on this last
You're gonna
one.
be singing
So
together.
before, we'll just sing and then I'll do the sending insight to send everybody into treats.
Okay, wait a minute. I don't know if we want to bring this down a little bit. Okay, so I'll just do an intro. Here we go.
So maybe at the beginning of service, thank you, Suki, I should say, let us inhale the chaos. Let us inhale all of those things that separate us, and let us exhale peace and love. May it be so.
I was so into this.
I know, I love it too.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, I didn't play the whole thing. It's like 5 pages.
So I remember the title of the book, Little Book by Thich Nhat Hanh. It starts out, if you're a poet, you can see the clouds in this paper. And I read on the explanation, and I guess I'm not a poet.
I love Thich Nhat Hanh. I've never heard of that one though.
But then he talks about the clouds had to make the rain for the tree to grow, to make the bulb, you know.
That makes sense. Yeah. But you're right. I guess I'm not
Yeah, he's got one that I'm learning. I've been working on it. Trying to Well, I wrote a melody to this. This is actually a new melody. And I took his chords, can't use his melody, but I took his chords and created my own. Yeah. And this is the first one. Yeah, right. Yeah. Thank you. I did last summer. And I made this, somehow it was sort of, I don't know, it's busy or messy or, you know. Here we go back to the oh, it is. It is the best. So, you and I are actually quite a bit alike. Have you noticed? I mean, we're both independent, single women, we never, I mean, we weren't married, right? I mean, you know, and I just feel like similarities and trying to get together. I don't know, maybe your photography and my music will go together. Oh, I know, yours, Oh, you're going to use it? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, there's something.
There's a lot to do, so I want to just. And then what's here? I feel like dressing up, but I'm going That's true.
Right, okay.
It was like.
Don't leave. Already.
Yeah.
That's where it is.
Kathy, I'm sorry I didn't get to your concert.